seller carry transactions all the time, so.
Oh, good. That's one of the topics I was going to talk
Yes.
about.
Yeah.
So we have Simon from Simon's Law of Roseburg.
Business.
So very good. I'm Derek Simmons from Simmons Law. Very close. And I answer to it anyway. It's okay.
Hey, you.
Yeah, I answer to that, and my kids call me all sorts of stuff. I've been practicing law for about 25 years. The last 23 have been in private practice, 2 years at the Oregon Court of Appeals, and then private practice. I was with a firm here in Roseburg and Eugene, who was in both of them, for about 17 years, and then I spun off on my own about 4 years ago. My background has been in business law, is where I started. So corporations, LLCs, and then real estate transactions, business sale transactions. And then about 6 or 7 years ago, I added estate planning because it seemed like it was the other thing that all small business owners needed that they didn't have. When Ray reached out to me and said, hey, come talk to us, one of the things I thought about, the immediate question is, what goes wrong in real estate transactions and how do you avoid it? And the answer is, I am not the right guy to ask. Because in standard real estate transactions where you've got bank financing or it's a cash deal, your forms work fine. It's the ones where owner carry is a good example where the forms don't work well. Business sales, they're horrible. The forms just don't work. I get a lot of them where realtors will say, hey, we're going to treat this as a letter of intent, but it's for a business sale. Could you work on it? And that works well. Or I think the service that you guys provide that cannot be duplicated anywhere else is finding the buyer and negotiating the sale price. And even in an owner carry transaction, that can be a really valuable thing. So I appreciate that, and I always enjoy working with you guys. The other thing that I do with a lot of realtors is set up their entities. So for example, if you're going to operate a business and have commission income, most accountants want you to be an S corporation. And the reason you do that is for tax reasons. You want to take reasonable compensation as low as you can get away with, and then the rest as distributions because it's a better tax deal. So I set up a lot of corporations and interface with the accountants and stuff like that. If you're an investor, you want to be in an LLC. You never want to hold real estate in a C corporation because of the double taxation thing, and you expect property values to go up, so you're setting yourself up for a problem. I actually talked to a family probably 10 years ago who had real estate in a C corporation since the 1950s. So when they sell that thing, boom, 40%'s gone to taxes. So they can't sell it, or they're going to take a loss. So what will happen is that property will be trapped in that corporation, until the value disappears. Nuclear bomb takes it out, then maybe they can sell it. But I'm not sure that's the way they want to go. So anyway, you never put real estate in a C corporation. In an S corporation, it's not double taxed because there's no S level tax. But every time you need to put it in or take it out to refinance, then you have to, then it's a taxable event. So if I buy property and then I contribute it to an S corporation and then I need to refinance it, so I take it back out of the S corporation because I can get a better rate individually, that's a taxable event. So if it's appreciated in value, I've got to pay tax on it. Well, we don't like that. So what that leaves you with is LLC. And so I always say own LLCs or own investment property in an LLC. Many people say, well, wait a second, what about insurance? I mean, can't I just buy a bunch of umbrella coverage and property insurance and not worry about it? And the answer is no. If you had, if insurance was one sentence, if anything goes wrong, we'll take care of it, you'd be all set. But it's not. It's 60 pages of limitations and exclusions. I actually learned this on a sixplex that I have in Kansas. What happened was there was a flood and the garden level apartments the walls had to all come out, and there was mold, and they had to really do a bunch of remediation on it. And I paid and got it fixed, submitted to the insurance company, and they said, no, the policy defines a flood as a river leaving its banks and entering onto the premises. This was just a very high water table, so it's excluded.
Wow.
And I'm like, well, and and I'm a lawyer, I could fight with them, but I don't think it's a winner. I think I lose it based on the definition. The other thing that I think about is when you're thinking about what's in an LLC, you put an asset into a bubble, and then liabilities that are attached to that stay in the bubble. They're protecting everything else that you own from the liabilities attached to that asset. So when you put an investment property in an LLC, you're actually protecting your house and your bank accounts. And as such things go, the cost of an LLC is cheap insurance to insure everything else you own from the liabilities that come with that. So that one of the things I do is business setup. Another one is leases. So residential leases, there are a lot of forms out there. Generally work well if they're up to date. If they're not, 20-year-old forms that I stole from Colorado or whatever, then they generally work okay. Commercial leases are a different deal. Commercial leases, realtors don't want to draft them because there's actually liability for drafting leases, and so I do that a lot. I work with many realtors who work on commercial leases, and then they refer one of the parties to me, and I draft the lease, and we go through it and get it signed. That works really well. Let's see, what else did I want to talk about? Estate planning. The other thing that comes up in real estate a lot is people who want to transfer their property to their kids, and what's the best way to do that? And the easiest way to do that, well, yes, but you're getting ahead of me.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to know if I was right.
You are right. The easiest way to do that is to add their name to the title. That is a bad idea because of basis. You guys probably know basis. I pay $100 for something. I sell it for $1,000. I've got to pay capital gains on $900. If I give it to my children, if I add their name to it, they get a transfer basis. So then when they sell it the next day, they have to pay $900, taxes on $900. But if instead I give it to them when I die, then they get a step up in basis. They sell it the next day, they pay no capital gains taxes. So that's a much better way to do it. Well, what are the ways to transfer property at death? You can put it in a will and have it go through probate and then receive the property, and that works. Probate is rather more expensive these days than anybody wants it to be. Probably costs $8,000 to $10,000 to go through probate on a will these days. Well, and even if you don't have a will, you still have to go through probate. Probate is the process of transferring assets from a dead person's name into living people's names. And so it has to be a little bit formal. And it's a court process, and it takes 8 to 10 months and costs $8,000 to $10,000. So a will or no will, either one comes through probate. The two ways to avoid probate are either a transfer on death deed, which has its own issues that Stephanie knows better than anybody. So a transfer on death deed is I make a deed that says this property, I'm transferring it from myself to myself with this person inherits when I die. And that works fine, except that because it skips probate, they won't sell title insurance on it for about 18 months because they want to see if anybody's going to crawl out of the woodwork and say, this should have gone through probate, undue influence, that sort of stuff. So they don't usually do that. So I only recommend a transfer on death deed if they're planning to keep the property after the parent dies. The other way to do it is a trust. So a trust avoids probate by transferring all of your assets now into the name of the trust. Then when I die, I don't own anything. And then it doesn't have to go through probate. It just goes through trust administration, which is faster and less expensive. It's more expensive to set up a trust than it is to set up a will, but you save the money, well, your kids save the money on the back end because they don't have to pay probate costs. So that is my spiel. What sort of questions do you guys have? Shoot.
I personally have been working on my own trust for quite a while.
Yeah.
I can't seem to finish it. What kind of costs are it? I mean, like,
Good question. So
just to get it done.
Right.
I'm in my 50s and I don't have a will or a trust. What is
You're
wrong
not
with
alone.
me? I see at the signing table on a weekly basis what happens
Yeah.
in this situation, and yet here I am. It's my goal this year to get it done.
So, a typical will, husband, wife, no kids are weird, everybody's no property out of state, tends to be like $1,500 to $2,000. A typical trust tends to be $3,000 to $4,000. A lot more document intensive, you've got to transfer some property in, and there's some homework in a trust because I'll transfer the real estate, I'll make a deed to transfer the real estate, but then there's bank accounts, investment accounts, and that's something the client has to do.
Right.
The very worst thing you can do is to pay the $4,000 for a trust and then not get it done and then go through probate. Anyway,
Yeah, so the transferring
howdy,
part,
Thank you.
the transferring part, I can do my own deed.
Yeah.
And I used to work at a
Totally.
bank, I'm all good with that.
Yeah.
It's just finishing the thing.
the trust, yeah.
The lawyer is stopping now.
Yep.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
Stephanie,
Nice to meet
Montes.
you.
Nice to meet you too.
You will learn a lot during this meeting.
Yeah, you missed all the good stuff, haven't you? Yeah, so I was just telling them, you know, I work in real estate on some things, owner carry transactions, leases, entity setup and stuff like that. If it gets to be a fight, my wife is a judge, so I never go to court. I lose enough arguments at home, I don't need to do that
You're big
professionally.
time.
She outranks me, she always has. It's formal now.
Yeah.
So litigation I don't do. But transactions, owner carry things I help with,
Yeah.
leases, that sort of stuff.
Gotcha. Nice.
What sort of questions? Did you bring any questions? Having been here all of 10
No,
seconds.
this is my first time.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
meeting everybody, so I need to get to know everybody and
Yeah.
what it's all about. You know?
Yeah, so
What
I'm-
is your business? Are you investor?
No, I own my own company,
Oh.
and well, a lot of customers they say, "Well, do you know somebody who wants to sell my house?" Sometimes, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
think I talked to you about that,
If
and
they ask a lawyer,
yeah.
you have a lawyer.
And then the title company, there you go.
there you go. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's good to know people. I mean, to get connected. I mean,
That's right.
I've been on my own for 3 years. I barely know anybody. And my wife's like, well, it's good to know people, you know, even
Yeah.
though they're not in the same category as you are. But, I mean,
Yeah,
they
when
can
you have
open
a
doors here and
business,
there, you know,
yeah.
and the same way you can tell people, you know, hey, these guys are
Yeah.
salesmen. and
Are
stuff.
you a general contractor?
Yeah, yeah.
And you build new construction or remodel or what's your
Well,
specialty?
Because I am on my own by myself,
Yeah.
so I just try to stay with small stuff right now. So
Oh.
remodels, small remodels,
Yeah, we can still use you.
yeah,
We
siding,
have a
small
fourplex
siding,
here.
you know, fences, driveways.
And you do all the work.
Yeah, I do.
Wow.
Look at that.
Yes.
That's the evidence.
Yeah, no, I've been right now I'm working on that retaining wall, so
Yeah.
yeah, it's a lot of digging. So
Wow. You should have a card.
a car?
Business
Oh,
card.
oh, I do. But like
You
I
have a
said.
business card,
I
sir?
do.
I left mine in my car. I grabbed them.
So I got this one's I don't know. Oh, sorry.
Nice to meet you.
They're sticking together.
Cool, thank you.
So yeah.
Wow, very nice.
Are you two together or?
Yeah, this is my wife, and this is Derek Simmons, and he's a lawyer, and this is Stephanie, and she's with Maritime.
Oh, okay.
So we got basically everything in real estate right here.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Funny when I first
We
bought
can
my
refer
house.
each other, yeah.
Funny when I first bought my house, they financed my house.
Yep.
They did the title everything.
I thought your name sounded familiar. I don't know if I closed it, but
I don't know, it's been like 60.
Well, tell me you're going to
70
kill
years
me.
ago.
Sit over here, man.
It's like outside.
Right. Sorry, I pulled the wrong
Yeah.
chair out.
Yeah.
Well, wherever you want to say. Wherever.
Thank you. No, like I said, I mean, it's good to know people. I'm new on this. I like to learn more, you know? Learn more.
So, were you working here locally and spun off on your own?
Yeah.
Who were you working with?
I used to work for Hamilton Construction
Okay.
and building bridges.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the framing and I was lead contractor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How many years?
I did that for 16 years.
Wow. And you're alone?
Well, no, Build Bridges is a whole company.
Oh,
I was, yeah. For myself, I've been doing it for 3 years.
So you charge good?
Well, I hope so.
You might use it, you know?
Yeah, I think I'm up there.
Because we have a more place in Roseburg Street.
Yeah. So, my prices out there, I mean, I set my prices and like everybody set their prices, you know, it's like
Yeah.
so much for pizza, you know, it's like I have to charge that
You
much.
do.
And
And I find myself telling people all the time, if people aren't turning you down occasionally because you're too expensive, you're not at the market rate, you're below it.
yeah.
If everybody takes what you offer without pushing back, you need to be up a little bit.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if you're desperate, you do what you're going to do.
Yeah. No, luckily I'm willing with the jobs. I mean, some jobs, I mean, I think I charge fair and enough and it carries me on for half a year or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
They call you again.
Yeah, they call me,
Oh,
most of my
it's easier.
customers, I've done more than two,
Like
three
makes
jobs.
you have a good price again.
Yeah. So, try to fences, I mean, I'm charging 40.
But you don't have a car.
Oh, you
Yeah, you did.
we have it. I have it.
There's
We got stars
Yes.
all over.
There's a mention.
To keep them.
Yeah, so I think that how that would work out great is, you know, whenever I have somebody that needs a renovation, like I have one right now, real great, that needs probably some renovations. And if it takes too long for us to sell a property, typically a good realtor will go back to the seller and say, hey, you know what, this needs to be fixed, and this is a person that I can refer. However, there are certain laws that go with how we're able to represent under National Association of Realtors, NAR, that prohibits us from saying this is the only person I would recommend. We cannot do that. So if you're the first card that we give to somebody with a wink, and then we give 2 more cards, I mean, you probably do something like that, but you have to give
But
multiple
if he's the
cards.
only one that show up, so he's the only person that you know.
So if for whatever reason, you know, you are the top of the pick there, then, you know, I can always say that this is something that Cervantes Construction does that other ones may not do. But however, you know, take your best guess at whatever one works for you, and then just call them. Reaching on out to the legalities of, you know, companies that are wanting to develop businesses, and even such as yourself, the legalities of the LLCs and corporations would be great for Derek. And then for the establishment of those type of properties where maybe it's a vacant lot and maybe they're wanting to pull customer service contracts and contact Amerititle. And Amerititle would have that whole entire list of what that's zoned for, the square footage, the measurements of what they have on records. It's pretty simple and enjoyable to actually do as a realtor to have these services available. But yeah, so working with realtors and everybody that's in real estate, you know, attorneys and titles companies and loan officers. There are some loan officers that were supposed to be here today and help me out. But there's loan officers in our Facebook group that can also help establish what type of lands and what type of developments are able to be established. So property that is, if there's like a manufacturer that's not titled to the land, we can't sell that. We can only sell the land. Although if there is a manufacturer on the land, we can sell it. We just can't say there's a 2-bedroom, 1 bath on the land. So just making sure that those type of things, we get developing that, and making sure that that's all permitted and titled with the land.
You know, the other thing you can do in that circumstance is there's a document you can file that will tie the mobile to the land.
That is awesome.
There is
Yeah,
a,
because whenever, like if a loan transaction and they're buying property with a manufactured home on it that has not been detitled, that's part of what we do in escrow, because a lender's never going to put a loan against something that's considered movable.
Yeah.
It has to be attached to the property. So yeah, we file the exemption documents at closing all the time. The only time I don't recommend doing that, it's like on a lot of my owner carries, it's like it's a 1970 home and you're planning on moving it. If you're going to move it and replace it with something else, then you have to undo.
Right.
You have to put it back as
separate it
personal
again,
property.
take it off.
Yeah. But yeah, detailing manufactured homes, we do that at closing.
Wow, awesome. So yeah, a lot of great connections here.
Like the loan officer that we have, he attended
Yes.
he's getting a lot of business, very yeah.
Well, we refer him to him and other loan officers.
Of course you do.
But
And we probably know all of them. Who are we talking about?
Gavin Ryan,
Ryan.
Gavin from Kind Lending.
Okay, actually I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know him
We
either.
refer a lot.
Yeah, I can give you his number before we leave. If that's something you might be interested in. He's really good.
I'm always at the far end. I'm never in a position to refer anybody for
Exactly.
lending. Nobody wants an attorney until they have to have one.
Yeah.
I mean, I would afraid just for being like, you want to contact like the nicest
Oh, yeah.
guy in real estate, like I'd probably afraid.
Yeah, as a neutral third party,
A neutral thing.
same thing. I always recommend 3 people.
Right.
But Derek's the one that always will call them back when I,
There you go.
and, you know, he's always at the
No
top.
stipulations
In fact,
on
I don't know,
that.
you did my son's LLC.
Did I?
even,
Good.
Southern Oregon Bullies, that's my son.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, so, because he was like, I don't know who to go to. You got it done like the same day.
Well, my mentor told me a long time ago, you can throw a rock and hit 10 good attorneys from our front porch. There are lots of good attorneys. Where you're going to distinguish yourself is turnaround time.
Yeah, definitely.
People don't call you when they want help in 6 months.
Yeah.
They call you when they want help now. So that's one of the formation things in my business.
So the first call is help.
Right. Help me. Well, even if a rando question that's nothing to do with what it's like, okay, I have this situation, tell me, and Derek, he always answers me.
And then Derek says, I don't have any idea, but here's my guess.
Yeah.
Maybe he knows you for the caller ID, you know? It's like, oh,
Right.
Yeah, it's
I'm gonna
definitely.
answer. Run the number.